This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. I know so many of us spend our lives wishing we had more time, but the question is, more time for what? Like, if you think about it, if you had an extra hour in your day, what would you use it for? I think I personally would use it for a little bit of self-care. Maybe I'd take a little nap. Maybe I'd read a book. I think that's how I personally would use it, just because I am missing a lot of self-care in my life because pork chop and Poppy take up a lot of my time in the day. But the thing is that I didn't realize how much self-care I was missing and that I needed to make it a priority until I really broke it down with my therapist. And I was talking about this idea of my life being a pizza. I have a finite amount to give. And I recognized that I needed to start prioritizing my self-care so I could show up for others the way that I wanted to. But without therapy, I wouldn't have realized that. And I think sometimes we think therapy is just for people who have experienced major life events or trauma, and it can be great for that, but also can be so good just for learning about like coping skills, setting boundaries, your priorities. So if you're thinking of giving therapy a try, maybe try BetterHelp. It's entirely online. It's designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule, which is so important. And you can learn to make time for what makes you happy with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/minutes today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/minutes. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this freeform episode of the Mindful in Minutes podcast. So since it is officially spring, and spring is all about harmony and balance, equilibrium, I thought that we could look at some different ways that you can create some more harmony in your life. Something I've personally been reflecting on a lot, and you've heard me talk about it on previous episodes. It's just thinking about why my life feels a little bit more harmonious now, even though it's technically more chaotic with like more children and different work things. And I think I've narrowed it down to some different items, if you will, that's really been contributing to my harmonious life, or feeling more, I'm not going to say my life is like fully harmonious, but I think feeling just better, more balanced, all of that. And universe, you don't need to throw anything special my way to make me not feel as balanced. But I've really been thinking about, like, even though technically life should feel more chaotic right now in this season for me, why isn't it feeling that way? And I've really been reflecting on that, and I wanted to share it with you in case some of these things may help you feel a little bit more balanced and harmonious in your own life. And I really just, I don't know, I want everyone to feel harmonious in their life. And like I said, I'm definitely not 100% there, but I think I'm more there than ever before. And maybe it's just like age. I mean, 34 is right around the corner for me. So maybe it's age, maybe it's perspective, maybe it's something else. I don't know, but these are my thoughts on it. So I think that's it. I don't think I have really any announcements or anything other than, all the things, meditation teacher training, You Are Not Your Thoughts, the journal for my anxious friends out there. I still have the meditation deck sitting in my office, a few more copies of that. My parents' meditation for the modern family, all the things, it's all in the show notes, but we're not really here to talk about that. We're here to talk about harmony. So harmony in general, like its official definition, refers to a state of balance, peace, and equilibrium across various aspects of your existence. And I love this because I think there is something about accepting that there's going to be this sort of coexistence within your life, this peace across different aspects of your existence. Not to say that it's all peaceful, but that you can kind of fit the highs and the lows and the different aspects together so that they are balanced, right? It really involves like this sense of alignment where the different parts in your life can coexist in like a peaceful and supportive way. And harmony in spring, and Sunday's meditation was a spring equinox meditation because yesterday, as you're listening to this, was a spring equinox. So hopefully everyone had a beautiful start to spring. But harmony and spring are these two concepts that are intertwined, both like practically and symbolically. So spring is a season of renewal. It marks the end of like winter's dormancy, the kind of like death cycle in winter where everything becomes dormant, it rests so that it can then have a new beginning. And I talk about this a lot, but I love to think about, what season of life am I in right now? And spring is really that fresh new beginning after the rest of winter. It's beginning of new life. And just like nature will kind of awaken from this slumber in spring, we can also awaken and lift our spirits, kind of rejuvenate ourselves, refresh perspectives, embrace new beginnings. In Sunday's meditation, we had this visualization where you're planting a seed and you're watching it bud. Like, this is the time where you can really plant these ideas, and they're just these little budding, sprouting babies, and we'll have a whole year to kind of let them come to fruition. And something that's interesting too about spring is that it represents this delicate balance in nature, right? So as the days are getting longer, the temperatures are getting higher, you kind of have the flora and the fauna that's coming back to life. There's these equal day and night. It really is kind of about this delicate balance or this harmony between these different things, the day and the night, and like getting a little bit warmer, but not like too warm. And when I think about springtime and how it can help us achieve harmony, I think about this idea of like striking a balance between different aspects, between like work and play, inward reflection, outward action, and sort of your personal needs, like the internal and the external, and our own personal like day and night, our own personal sun and moon, and finding that balance, because these two things, we're always going to have sun and we're always going to have moon in our life. We're going to have ups, we're going to have downs, and spring is that like delicate balance between the two, and we see that reflected in nature. So I think it just is this nice reminder of like the importance of finding equilibrium in your life. And for me personally, when I think about harmony, it isn't about like perfection or not having any problems. Things are still going to happen. When I say I feel like my life is more harmonious right now, it doesn't mean that I'm not tired. It doesn't mean that I don't try new things and they fail. It doesn't mean that there's some days I wake up and I feel like chronically behind, or I question the meaning of life. Sometimes I'm too tired to cook, so I just DoorDash. Like, these things are still going to happen in life, but harmony isn't about like everything's just going well and it's perfect, there's no issues. It's about finding that steady state amidst the ups and the downs. So it's like you're not as rocked by the roller coaster as you used to be. It's sort of just more of like a straight line instead of this constant like up and down where the highs are super high, the lows are super low. Like, they can exist at the same time. I can be tired and also like feel okay about it because I know it's temporary, right? And so for me, harmony is just kind of letting these things coexist. Like, do I like to try to cook my own meals because I want to make sure I'm nourishing my body so then I can then through my body nourish Poppy's body and like take care of myself, all of that? Yes. But sometimes am I too tired and I DoorDash? Yes. But I don't let that completely derail me. And that encompasses, that DoorDash encompasses this idea of harmony to me, but like not sweating the big things as much and letting those highs and lows coexist, not let it be super intense. I don't feel like it's all going wrong all the time. Nothing's like way out of whack. It's just all kind of just existing. And that's sort of what harmony is for me. So when I was thinking about why has my life been feeling a little bit more harmonious lately compared to other seasons of my life or other times of my life, I came up with 7 different things. And actually 8. I had a bonus one. But the bonus one is like not even. It's something that we all know. But the first thing that I thought of was make your circle smaller. So they say that you're an amalgamation of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And although that might not be like an exact thing, I will say something that I've learned is that you are a product of the people that you surround yourself with. And the people that you surround yourself with is kind of a reflection on you. And so asking yourself, like, what assumptions or conclusions might people come to based on the people I spend time with? Or asking yourself, like, how do I actually feel about the people that I'm spending time with. And I'm not saying you need to go and like axe every relationship that you have, but a quick test that I have when I'm spending time with someone is when I'm done spending time with them, asking myself, do I feel lighter or do I feel heavier after spending time with them? I only want to keep the people in my life where after I spend time with them, I feel lighter, I feel supported, I feel uplifted, I had fun. Something that I've really learned over the last, I would say, 10 years of my life and really in the last 5 years of my life is that relationships are all about quality and not quantity. And this is coming from someone who has had very, very lonely times. Like when I was in college, I had like no friends. I would like this, I don't know, this is kind of sad to say, but it's the truth. But I would like pray that someone would just ask me to like hang out with them. And most times like the weekend would roll around and I would hear people. I guess I had like acquaintances and like friends, like enough where I would hear about like other people's plans, but then I would never be like invited to join in on it. Or I'd like ask people what they're up to and they would like already have plans, but I'd never be like included in them. And I would just like pray that someone would ask me to hang out with them. And a lot of the time they didn't. And like even now it's like saying that is taking me back to that place where it's like, I wish I could go back in time and like give myself this like hug and be like, you will find your people. But I remember that just being like, that was so hard for me and that was really sad and just feeling like really lonely. And so this is truly coming from someone who used to feel like I had like no friends at all. And really it is about quality and not quantity. And for me to now be in a place where I'm like, I don't know, like making my circle smaller intentionally is really nourishing and helps me to find like harmony in my life. I don't know. I'm just sharing that in case anyone else is listening and is like, I feel lonely. Like I hope people will ask me to hang out on the weekends. Like I have been there. I was there for like years and it will get better. You will find your people. I promise. I also This doesn't have anything to do with harmony. This has to do with like friend making because someone wrote in a request for a meditation about doing a meditation for making new friends. And I don't necessarily know how to make a meditation for that. However, what I will say is some things that I've been doing to like make new friends is I've just been a little bit more bold and just like asking people like if I meet someone and like it still kind of gives me this, I have this little fear of like rejection in a way. And I think it goes back to this time where I was like, I don't have any friends. Like no one wants to hang out with me. No one likes me. And I was really struggling. But I've just been like a little bit bolder and being like, hey, do you want to hang out? Or sometimes I get really shy when I'm at like a thing with other moms with pork chop. And then there's like, I'm really just like burying my soul here, guys. But like I see the cool moms. Because let me tell you guys, I am not a cool mom. I am not a cool mom, but I see like the cool moms are moms and I'm like, oh my gosh, like they seem really fun or they like seem like they kind of parent like I parent and I'm really kind of shy. And so I have been trying to be like a little bit bolder and like just kind of being like, oh, do you want to get our kids together for a play date? Or I don't know. I've just been trying to like be a little bit bolder. And that's something when I think back on this time where I felt really lonely, I wasn't very bold. I was like really passive. I was scared. I was so scared someone was like going to say no. And spoiler alert, later on in my list, maybe we'll just go to that one next, is basically like care less. And the less I care about things, the more harmony I've found in my life. And I think like caring less about what people think of you or like if they're going to say no to you, it has really kind of changed my perspective. And so not only have I intentionally made my circle smaller over the last like 5 years and like anyone who, you know, I don't want to say like just cutting out toxic people, but like if you have toxic people in your life, how can you start to distance yourself from them? And you can kind of do the passive aggressive Midwestern exit thing that, you know, is common, I guess, where I have grown up. But like, can you just stop prioritizing your time with people that aren't really serving your greatest and highest good? Again, do the test. Do I feel better and lighter after hanging out with this person or heavier and worse after hanging out with them? Let's start spending a little less time with the people that make you feel heavy and worse and start prioritizing time with the people that make you feel lighter and better. And I have found so much that relationships, not just friendships, are all about quality over quantity. And I think that's something that has really brought me a lot of harmony. There's so much less just like chaos and drama in my life because I just don't have space for people who bring that into my life. So I don't know. And then also accepting that maybe, I hope I'm no one's like toxic person in their life, but I also accept that like as we get older, other people that I know, they may be tightening their circles too, and maybe they'll have a little bit less time for me, and recognizing that like that's okay and that's maybe just a natural process, and relationships serve different purposes at different times, and that we're all hopefully changing and evolving and kind of taking our own journey towards harmony. And so that there may be a natural distancing between people, and that's not to say that'll necessarily be easy, but accepting that too, that relationships are all about quality, not quantity in my life and in other people's lives too, has really helped me. And I think that that's made my existence just more harmonious because I'm spending less time with people that just really don't make me feel good, So that's the first one. So making your circle smaller. Also, another piece on loneliness, which this is in my notes, I didn't think I was going to go here, but when I started to get to know myself better and I started prioritizing like hanging out with myself, like taking myself on dates, I realized that I could never truly be lonely because I always had myself. And that was a big kind of mindset shift for me too, is that, I was never really alone because I always had myself. So that really helped me too, if anyone else is in one of those tough spots like me. And like, I really used to just like, I haven't thought about this in a long time, so it's, bringing stuff up, I guess, but I really just used to be like, no one likes me, and I was so lonely, and that was probably, I was in college well over a decade ago, and so it's just something that I've really learned over time is that, the more you get to know yourself, the less lonely you'll become, and you will find your people. It will get easier, I promise. The second one, your life is a pizza. So one of my favorite analogies, this actually comes from one of my really good friends who first shared this with me, is that basically what you have to give in a day is like a pizza. It is a singular, finite thing. It is not infinite. It is finite. And what you give, when it is gone, it is gone. And often we're too busy giving away our slices of pizza to everyone else, to our careers, to our kids, to our partners, to our families. And often who goes hungry? Yourself. And you have to recognize that what you have to give is finite. And once you've given everything you can give, it could be maybe there are days where I'm like, it is 9, 10 a.m. and I'm like, wow, that pizza is gone. I have given everything I can give for the day, and recognizing that what I have to give is like a pizza. It's finite. That has really helped me find more harmony in my life instead of feeling like I'm constantly giving, and having nothing for myself. Has really changed my perspective, and it's created more harmony in my life. It hasn't necessarily always created more ease in my life because I've had to build better boundaries. I've also, when I think about my life as like this pizza, I recognize that often I have to eat first. And so I have to take what I need from my pizza, and then I can give the rest to others. And at different times in my life, different things will need more pizza than others. Like right now, my kids are needing a lot of pizza because like they're little, especially baby Poppy. She's needing a lot of time and my energy. There'll be times where maybe my husband is needing more. Maybe I have familial relationships where they're just needing more for me at that time. And recognizing that, there will be times where certain areas of your life will need a little bit more pizza, and I will have to adjust accordingly. But I need to make sure that I eat first, and then when it's gone, it's gone. This has really helped me find more harmony in my life, and it has pushed me to build better boundaries with both myself and others, because, you have to think about like who's going hungry. And so think of your life as this pizza, and like who's taking slices of your pizza, and who's the one going hungry. Chances are it's you. Or if you look at it and you're like, oh my gosh, I am giving almost all of my pizza to my work right now, and I don't like that. That's too much. There's none left for my family or my friendships or whatever. Do this like little pizza inventory. It will help you. And then piggybacking off of that, remembering that you can't be everything for everyone. Once I recognized this, again, that what I have to give is finite, it really helped me. And even though I may want to be everything for everyone, I can't. And accepting that has helped bring a lot more harmony into my life. And then one bonus food analogy, you've heard me talk about this before, but I'm going to go back to the goat cheese, just remembering that you will always be goat cheese to someone, meaning goat cheese, some people love it, some people hate it. Goat cheese itself is neutral, and recognizing that people can have opinions about goat cheese, both positive and negative, but that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with you. And if someone leaves a 1-star review saying, I hate this lady's voice, this is the dumbest meditation I've ever heard, and then also someone leaves a 5-star review and they say this podcast has changed my life, recognizing that although the 5-star review and saying that this has changed my life might feel good, and someone saying this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard may hurt a little bit, once I recognize that, like, to both of those people, I am goat cheese. It's really helped me just accept criticism and feedback easier and not be as impacted by it, which I think also then relates to kind of that harmony in life. So just recognizing that sometimes you're going to be goat cheese to people, and that's okay. That's all right. The next one is enough is enough, even when it comes to health and wellness. So one thing that I wanted to touch on here at this point that I talked about in the last freeform episode about how you get back into a meditation practice if you've fallen off is do not compare a past version of yourself to a current version of yourself. This has really, really helped me, especially when I think about my pre-child self and my current self with kids, whether it's, the way I look or how strong my core is or where I spend my time, all of these things. It really does not serve me to think about, take my current self where I'm just, doing the best I can with what I have, and to constantly compare that to a different self that was living under different circumstances. So enough is enough, even in the health and wellness space, there is too much of something, even if it's, quote, a good thing. And what I mean by that is if you are letting your self-care be this thing that isn't really fulfilling you, it just feels like another thing you have to check off the list. If your routine has become a stressor in your life, like you're now taking 90 million bajillion supplements and you're feeling more drained than ever, or you're constantly adding more and more ways to, quote, improve yourself, that can easily become too much. And it's great to want to improve yourself. It is great to want to be healthier, to be less anxious, to create habits that nourish you, but take it easy. Maybe just do one thing at a time and know when enough is enough and what you can take on at that time. There's definitely been moments in my life where I have taken self-improvement way too far. And it's like a full-time job, basically trying to become the absolute best version of myself. And it becomes counterproductive because then that is a stressor in and of itself. And so recognizing even in the health and wellness space that enough is enough, and to not let that become a stressor in my life has been helpful too. So my current kind of self-care routine or wellness routine, my kind of self-care non-negotiables every day is 10 to 15 minutes of meditation every day. I try to take just your basic vitamins. For me, that's just this, specific postpartum kind of vitamin thing. But I don't go overboard. Trying to move my body for 30-ish minutes, 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, I try. And then if I do something on the weekends, great. If not, no problem. And I'm really flexible with what that movement looks like. I leave it broad for a reason. I do try to get acupuncture once a month. And then I try to leave the house and be social one time a week, which usually I have to. It's usually my weekly bar class where I go out and then that counts as my movement. And also I see people and can chat before and after class. So I don't know. I've been trying to read a few days a week. All of that is plenty. That's plenty. And that is enough for now. That's great. I'm happy with that. Could I be doing other things? Could I be, incorporating all of these other things? Sure. But sometimes I worry that not only do we allow our quest for self-improvement to not only become a stressor in our life, but it's we're allowing this perpetual desire to be better and better, better actually kind of fuel this feeling of not being enough and feeling like, oh, well, if I just do this, then I'll feel better. Oh, if I just, maybe I'll love who I am if I reach this goal or I do this thing, or maybe I'll be happier if I have this 3-hour morning routine. And usually it's not necessarily the routine. Like things that really I have found help are like the little things, right? So just the basics, not taking anything, too crazy, not going too hard on anything or a total overhaul. If that is what you want to do, that is amazing for you. I have found in my current stage of life, figuring out when enough is and accepting that and being like, wow, that's great. You know what, Kelly, your 10 to 15 minutes of meditation, your basic postpartum vitamins, trying to just move for 30 minutes, 5 days a week, trying to be social 1 time a week, that's amazing. I love that for you. Great job. And that's it. So I don't know. Just thinking about that. My whole hope with this episode, as I'm saying all of this out loud, is that these are the things when I sit and reflect on it. I hope that any of these things, maybe not all of them, but maybe one of them will kind of be like a little cheat code for you so that then you can start to implement it, or you can then have permission to be like, oh my gosh, you're right. Like this 3-hour morning routine that I've done for myself is actually exhausting. It doesn't make me feel better. And so then this is me giving you permission to like, don't do that. If it's not helping to serve your greatest and highest good, it's not actively bringing harmony into your life, rethink it or let it go. You don't need to do it. Okay, the fourth thing is releasing the arbitrary shoulds. This one has been huge for me lately. So how many times do you think about something you, quote, should be doing? For me, this is like, oh, I should be talking about meditation teacher training more on this podcast so people know it's available so then they can join it. And, all of this stuff, right? I should be asking for more help overnight with puppies so I can get some more sleep. I should be prioritizing a weekly date night with my husband so that, we can remember how to be a couple and not parents. I should be meditating for 30 minutes a day instead of 10 to 15 because I'm a meditation teacher. There are always 100 things that you, quote, should be doing. Release the shoulds. It will change your life. I promise. Either you're doing it or you're not. And every time you tell yourself, I should, you're creating more lingering, daunting things in the background that in reality, you do not have the time, space, or energy to do. And if you aren't doing it currently, or you can't start doing it today realistically, just let it go. I promise you this will change your life. Every time you find yourself being like, oh, I should do this, I should do that. Either you're doing it or you're not. And that's fine. If you're like, you know what, I should, I don't know. There's a million different examples because this is one that has been a trap for me for a really long time. If someone's like, oh, I've been doing reformer Pilates for the last 6 months. I'm like, oh, I should be doing reformer Pilates. That would be really good for my core postpartum or I don't know, whatever. No, either I'm doing it or I'm not. And I think about kind of this thing. Usually they say this like in dating, not that I've been on a date in the last I don't know. I hear the kids say this in dating where they say if he wanted to, he would. But I think about it in terms of like with the shoulds. Like if I wanted to, I would. And you know what? I'm not going to keep piling on these shoulds that really just feel so lingering and daunting. And again, I think that these shoulds fall into this feeling of like just not feeling good enough where it's like, oh, well, if I just did this one thing, I'd be satisfied. Or, oh, if I just, started doing this thing, I'd feel better about myself. Or like, oh, maybe this will be the thing that will make me accept who I am. And no, it's just background noise. So either you're doing it or you're not. And so if you feel like the shoulds are really piling up, which I don't think I've ever had a bigger issue with the quote shoulds than when I became a parent, because again, it's like my pizza didn't necessarily get smaller, but all of a sudden I had all these people that were trying to eat from this pizza. And it's like, just recognizing that, again, what I have to give is finite, and shoulds are kind of this happiness trap. So don't fall into it. But if you are feeling like you're really struggling with the shoulds, this is what I would do, because this is what I did. Write down all the lists of your shoulds, right? Oh, I should do this. I should do that. I should do that. There might be like 50 things on this list, or I don't know, maybe just 10. And then pick one, maybe pick two, but start with one. Pick one and then just start doing it. You can save your list for later, but that's it. Just pick one. You're not going to beat yourself up over it. You're not going to keep thinking about what you should do. Either you're doing it or you're not. And you're just going to pick one that you really actually want to do. And you're just going to do it. And then that's it. And you're going to release all the other shoulds. I promise this will change your life. This will release that like burden. It'll help with the mental load, and you will find more harmony in your life. Chances are you already do so much, and the shoulds, it's just kind of that unneeded pressure. So if you really want to add a should, write down the whole list and pick one. That's it. And then the rest, we're going to let it go. The fifth one, does the inside match the outside? So often when I'm feeling like things are out of balance, I'm not experiencing harmony in my life, it's usually because there is something in my internal being that is conflicting with my external life. So checking in and seeing, do your inner values, your core beliefs, are they matching the external life that you're currently living? If the answer is no, it's probably really throwing you off and creating disharmony in your life. The whole idea of harmony is about having the inner and the outer be in alignment. So reflecting on like, what are your core values? What are your priorities right now? Because these things can change. And often when I have found that there is kind of this disharmony or this misalignment between internal and external, it's because something has changed. Maybe something within me internally has shifted and I'm still living an old external version of myself, but my internal version has changed and evolved. And so I need to let my external life catch up with that. So thinking about, what really makes you happy? What things do you really enjoy? What things do you care about? What are your priorities right now? And then maybe you journal on this. Maybe you just sit in quiet contemplation. You think about it. Maybe it's something when you go out on a walk and you're just like, you know what are my priorities right now? And then ask yourself, what am I currently doing in my everyday life that doesn't match that? How can I start to shift so my external life matches more with my internal desires, beliefs, joys, and priorities? And for me, I think when I really started to learn this lesson, this really, I think, was one of the first big shifts that I had when my life started moving in a more harmonious direction, was when I decided that I wanted to teach what I love for a living and kind of pursue this career that I'm doing now. It didn't feel harmonious at the time. It was hard. It was scary. But I do think that there's something now, a decade later, after doing this, that there is kind of this harmony between my internal values and dreams and desires and my external career. And I know that we do not all need to necessarily be like living our dreams, or our careers have to 100% fulfill us and this and that. I think I just had to really take my first sort of look inside at the work I was doing and saying, does this match my internal? And at the time it was a no. It was a hard no. So I started making changes so that my career could be a little bit more harmonious and in alignment with what I was desiring and prioritizing on the inside. And it ultimately led me here. But this could be something on like how you're parenting, or this could be something about like where you find your joy, or even your relationships, right? The people that you're surrounding yourself with, the life that you're living, your friendships, are they in alignment with like your core values and your priorities and your internal joy? And when you ask yourself, does the inside match the outside? And if the answer is no, turn inward, look at that, and kind of make this little plan as to how can you make some small shifts so that your life that you're living externally becomes a little bit more in alignment with what is happening within you internally. So again, if you wanted to, you would. And then just make these small little changes. The sixth thing is redefining your definition of success. This has really helped me find harmony and to release imposter syndrome and comparison is when I find my definition of success. Because when you are just living this thing we call life, there will always be someone doing it better than you. There will always be someone who is, I don't even want to say doing it worse than you, but I think about this a lot where there's people where sometimes in a healthy comparison way, I'll look at what they're doing and allow that to inspire me to be like, wow, like I didn't even think that was possible. And then I know that I am that for other people. And then for those people that are maybe they're just starting their podcast and they're looking at Mindful in Minutes and they're like, wow, maybe I could still be doing this 6-7 years from now. And then there's people that I look at that have podcasts that are huge, astronomically, so much bigger than my podcast, and they've been doing it for 10 years. And I look at that, I'm like, oh my gosh, wow, like I could be doing this for a decade and like look at what's possible, right? There's always someone that is going to be expansive or doing more than you are. Where I think we get into trouble is when we let someone else's definition of success then be our definition of success, and we're never going to measure up. And so when I think about like, what is my definition of success? And it has changed over time. 100% has changed over time. But once I came to like what feels good and successful to me, and that's the only thing that I pursue, not someone else's definition of success. And I really, really struggled with this when I first started Yoga for You because, as you guys know, no one really supported what I did. And they were projecting their versions of success onto me. And that wasn't mine. And they were saying, oh, like a successful woman has a master's degree. And if you're going to run a business, you need to have an MBA, or, you know, you need to do this, you need to do that. You need to make X amount of dollars. You need to work in this field. That was their definition of success. And that's great for them. It was not mine. And I had so much misalignment and disharmony and like turmoil in my life because I wanted to live up to someone else's definition of success. And once I turned inward and started defining my own definition of success, it changed everything for me. And I've had to do it at different stages in my life when I was first starting. Also, when I had pork chop, I definitely had a bit of an identity crisis. And I realized how much I had internalized, like honestly, kind of this internalized misogyny about moms who work or don't work. And, you know, that's the conclusion that I came to, was that I had to redefine for myself, what does success look like for me now as a mom? And I had to confront these feelings that I didn't even know I had no idea. I had such big opinions within myself about moms working or not working, or working part-time, or I don't even, like all of these things that I was like, wow, I didn't even realize I had. That's why I kind of call it my own sort of internalized misogyny, is that I had to really confront, like, how do I feel about motherhood and working and moms who work or don't work? And I've worked to kind of find harmony within myself for that. But it was really eye-opening to me. And I kind of had this identity crisis of like, how am I a business owner? How do I pursue my dream and also be the mom that I want to be at the same time? And how does that impact my definition of success? And I'm happy to report that I think I've mostly resolved my identity crisis, but I really had to look at, what does success look like for me now in this stage of my life? And it really changed than what my definition of success looked like 5 years ago. And both are great versions of success. Both are great. They're just different. And so redefining your definition of success. So asking yourself, have I outgrown my old definition of success? Ask yourself, am I trying to fulfill someone else's definition of success that either I feel like is, quote, right, or someone is projecting onto me? And asking yourself as well, have my life circumstances changed? And so I need to revisit what success looks like for me in this current stage of life. Like ultimately, success is about happiness and harmony and not just hitting milestones. So whatever that means for you, happiness, harmony, that's all subjective. That's all going to be different for everyone. It's not just about the milestones. And your definition of success will change as you change. And so finding a combination that works for me, not only just in business, right? What does success look like in relationships and friendships, in my marriage, in my own like personal self-care. Like, what does success look like in those areas for me right now? And getting a clear vision of that has really, really helped to give me a clear picture of where I'm going, what to do, and that I think ultimately has helped to create more harmony in my life. Number 7 is care less. And honestly, this has been so freeing. And maybe this is an age thing. I think I remember someone telling me, like, when I was first starting out, when I was in my 20s, and I'd go on retreats and there'd be all these wonderful women, like in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. And they used to always tell me, they're like, I don't know, like when you get older, you just care less. So maybe this is an age thing. But honestly, caring less has been so freeing to me. Like, I care less about what people think. I care less about what I should do. I care less about what other people are doing and how that compares to what I'm doing. I care less about hearing no. I care less about anything that, like, I don't know, I just care less. And it is so freeing, and it makes my life so much happier and so much more harmonious. And maybe asking yourself, is there a place that I could just care less? And I don't know. I don't know why I feel a certain way about saying that out loud. Maybe it's because we're conditioned to, like, always care and, like, be your best version of yourself. And I don't know. I just think I was caring too much. I was caring too much about what other people think. I was caring too much about how I looked. I was caring too much about, I don't know, like what other people were up to. I don't know. I just care less. And it makes my life so much easier. And I mean that in, like, the nicest, most, like, uplifting way. Like, I should say I care. There are many things that I care a lot about, but I care less about anything that isn't directly tied to my happiness, my greatest and highest good, any of my core values or my priorities. Things that are tied to, like, my happiness, my greatest and highest good, my core values, my priorities, like things that are really important to me, I care a lot about those. But anything that isn't that, like the tertiary stuff, the silly stuff, I just kind of care less. And my life is quieter. My life is easier. My life is more harmonious. There's plenty out there to care a lot about. But the little things, the silly stuff, putting myself out there, you heard that I'm, trying to make friends. I was so bold, and I asked someone that I met at, like, an event recently. I just, like, then after DM'd her and was like, hey, it was nice chatting with you. Should we get lunch sometimes? And I'm happy to report we're going to get lunch next week, and I'm really looking forward to it. And, like, she could have just said no or, like, left me on red. And, like, honestly, that's fine. I just kind of care less about that stuff. And it's been really freeing. So I don't know, maybe the secret to harmony in your life is just, like, caring less. Or, like, I care less about what people think of me when I'm in public with my kids, and, like, maybe Pork Chop's having a moment or Poppy's having a moment, or, anyone who has 2 kids, they're usually both having a moment at the same time. I just care a little bit less about what people think, and it helps. So I don't know. This also made me think about something that I learned when I was studying with my monks, and it was this thing that they taught me about called the middle way. It's kind of this, like, I think it's one of the more fundamental teachings of Buddhism, or a more, like, foundational one. And the middle way is kind of like avoiding extremes and just finding balance in all aspects of life. So this idea kind of encourages, like, moderation and harmony and, like, your actions and your thoughts and your emotions, and kind of steering away from both, like, aesthetics and indulgences. And it's not to say that everything has to be bad, but also everything doesn't have to be great. And, like, how can you kind of walk and live this middle way? And that, I think, really has helped me thinking about embracing the middle way in my life. Has helped me find more harmony in it. And then the bonus, the 8th thing, which doesn't, I don't know, this is really, like, a thing, but honestly, less scrolling. Like, I hate to say it, guys, but the less time that I spend on my phone, the happier I am. The less time I'm, like, doom scrolling on social media, the better I feel. And even swapping like a few minutes. And I really got thick into scrolling when I was recent, like right after Poppy was born. I was recently postpartum. I was just up like all night, all the time, feeding Poppy. And in order to like stay awake, I would just scroll on my phone. I don't necessarily feel bad about it because I just, I needed something to kind of like, keep me awake because middle of the night. But once I started like not needing that, once I started kind of scaling back, even 10 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day, I felt better. And I feel like that's just one of those little things. It's like, I know we all know it. Kind of like everyone's like, I know meditation is good for me. Like, I know it'll help my anxiety, but we don't always do it. Like just a little less phone time. I think it's helping my own personal harmony, in my opinion. So that's the bonus one there. So I don't know. Hopefully you enjoyed this kind of rambling, I don't know, audio reflection of things that I personally feel like have helped bring more harmony in my life. Hopefully at least one of these things gives you a cheat code in a way where then you can start to implement that so then maybe you can find some more harmony in your life and embrace this time of equilibrium and balance for spring. And that's it. That's all I have for you. I hope that you are doing well. I am wishing you just a wonderful day. And know that if you are here, especially if you're still here at the end of the episode, I am so grateful for you for being here and letting me share what I love with you. So that's all. Okay, bye.